Despite these wins, well, Donald Trump's approval rating has dropped to an all-time low. Now, that's according to Newsweek's latest poll tracker. Now, the tracker shows that 43% of Americans currently approve of Trump's performance, while 53% disapprove, I beg your pardon, giving him a net approval rating of -10 points. Now, that marks a 3-point decline from the previous day when his net approval stood at -7. It also matches his lowest net rating since April 29, when he last hit -10, which was at the time his lowest on record. Now, Trump's poll numbers initially plunged after he announced his Liberation Day tariffs back in April, although his approval ratings recovered somewhat soon after. His recent actions appear to have reignited public frustration with the White House. Now, this includes his decision to deploy the National Guard and Marines to Los Angeles to suppress anti-ICE protests, as well as ordering airstrikes on 3 nuclear facilities in Iran last weekend. Now, strikes that polls show most voters oppose. Well, joining us virtually from New York to dissect these issues is a RISA international analyst, Rotimi Michael Kade, who is with us, and I hope you can hear me, Rotimi. All right, well, let's quickly get straight into it. Well, looking at our last stories, last couple of stories, well, it's been a very interesting week for Donald Trump. The bombings happened on Saturday, and well, on Sunday, he used that expletive, and since then, we've seen a ceasefire deal. And of course, well, he also had something sort of a victory parade following some court decisions that went his way. But the Newsweek says his ratings is about the all-time low since the start of this administration. Taking a look at what Americans think about what's going on with the ICE protest and also the strikes in Iran. Talk to us about what you think, has happened to Trump in the last 1 week.
Well, Ferdinand, I think I'm going to start with, the triumphant week for President Donald Trump. This week has been so good. I think perhaps maybe the best week he has ever had since his inauguration in January. He has been, tremendously very active, and a record win this week for starting with the Supreme Court, which is the most, I would say, most important, most pivotal win he's had. The Supreme Court, on his side on the fact that the birthright citizenship, which he has touted even while he was on the campaign trail, that is going to see how we can curb that, as against what is the norm in the United States since time immemorial. And he's able to get that win at the Supreme Court, which means that he has almost like absolute power to go ahead with his, immigration policies, which is to deport not just criminals, but people who came into this country illegally. And that has, sort of help him to gain some level of confidence within his base, that he is a man of his words. He has kept his promises and is doing what he can to make the United States, according to his mantra, great again. But of course, everybody's not going to agree with him. And you could see the fallout in California, where the ICE and other immigration officials are being on the rampage, ensuring and making sure that, this, wrapping up on people who are coming here illegally, and there's been backlashes after another. But that's not the only highlight for President Trump. We've seen him also trying to broker peace between Israel and Palestine, Israel and Iranians over the recent bombings and all that. Even though the ceasefire agreement is a little bit artificial and cosmetic, but we've seen a downward spiral in the bombing of each country. So you can attribute that to President Trump as well. So, and of course, you remember also they broke a peace between Rwanda and the Congolese in exchange for a mineral deal. There's a lot of details that have gone into that, which the White House is not making available. But it's a good thing that two countries in Africa that have been in war with each other from well since perhaps years and decades ago, and now finding peace as a result of President Donald Trump.
Quite interesting. And well, let's go back to Donald Trump saying that, well, if he hears that America, or perhaps, I beg your pardon, if he gathers intelligence that Iran is still gathering uranium, he's definitely going to order another strike. Now, what exactly have we learned in terms of the Congress's reactions and also public opinion concerning those strikes ordered by Donald Trump about exactly last week?
Well, the public opinion has been very divided as far as that bombing is concerned, because for the first time in many transitions of different presidents, we've never seen a U.S. president taking it upon himself to bomb Iran, because they see Iran's situation as being more delicate in the Middle East, being the most powerful opposition the United States have in the Middle East. And when you talk about the arsenals of weapons that they are more or less like threats to the United States bases and also United States allies. So it's a bold step that President Trump actually took whilst they negotiating with Iran to bomb, the nuclear sites in order for Iran to sit down and have a talk with him. The public opinion, I would say the majority feels that that is not a good move if you want somebody to talk to you. And now Iran, on the other hand, vow that whatever discourse they're having with the United States and perhaps IAEA or the United Nations, that has come to an end because they'll go ahead and further enrich uranium, which will help to achieve their goal, which is to have a nuclear arsenal. However, on the other hand, people think that that is a bold move to send a very good statement to Iran to say that, hey, we don't want you to have the nuclear warheads because you are a danger not just to your region, but also to the West. And some see that as a stepping stone to curbing Iran's powers. So it's a little bit divided when it comes to, how reactions have been permeated the political space in the United States.
Well, quite interesting. And well, Trump might have had his head above the waters, particularly looking at the kind of support that he got from his MAGA fans in the Capitol. But taking that decision again, is it something that you think he would dare do without going to the Congress?
Well, first of all, he said that he doesn't want Iran to have a nuclear arsenal. That's a statement he has reiterated many times, and he's vowed to do everything he can. But now, this is a thing. If the United States president want to go into war with another country, he needs to consult with Congress. So it's a bit controversial when it comes to these actions against Iran. Is it declaring war against Iran, or is just taking isolated actions against Iran? So that is really something to be debated upon. But from what we've seen so far, the Democrats in Congress are requiring the president to actually consult with Congress before, bombing Iran, because they see Iran as an isolated case. Iran has promised to retaliate against the United States, not just the installation, but also here in the United States. So that is where the thin line is between the actions of the president and what he intends to do. Well, he has succeeded in his first attempt to do that without Congress. We don't know what the fallout would be if he decides to take the second attempt to bomb Iran, should Iran continue with its mission to acquire nuclear warheads.
Well, Rotimi, well, let's hope that doesn't happen, as it definitely would make things quite very, very bad, not just in the Middle East, but also with the United States. Well, thank you so much.